What's going on, y'all? Eric Mulder here with Code Red Conversations. This video has been making its rounds on social media with folks basically, as usual, or as to be expected, aligning themselves and taking their sides, often across ethnic lines, and giving their various opinions, oftentimes uneducated opinions, but giving their opinions nonetheless. But we're going to go over the evidence, we're going to go over the information that we have right now and see if we can get to the bottom of all this. Now, I said uneducated because there is a huge lack of information, but I'll get into that here shortly. If you've seen this video, I'd love to know your perspective, your opinion. What do you think? Do you think it was an abuse of power, an issue of police brutality, or not? Comment down below, please. I greatly appreciate it. Now, here's a news clip with a little bit of background data.
Well, Chris, the incident happened behind me here on Monday on Mill Station Road and Matherfield Road in Rancho-Cordova, apparently over a Swisher Sweet Cigar, a tobacco product. Now, officials say the deputy was responding to this neighborhood after several complaints of someone selling tobacco, alcohol, and drugs to underage kids.
So what we have so far is that the officer had a legal ground, was legally justified for being there. We have several complaints from citizens that there were illegal sales of drugs taking place in the area. So the officer had every right to get there. Let's proceed.
Stop! Stop!
Now, this video you see was sent to us by Black Lives Matter Sacramento say that the Rancho Cordova police officer used excessive force on a 14-year-old. The boy's family launching a hashtag Justice for Jaw on Twitter. They are saying that they will pursue legal actions.
Now, what was going around initially was that people were assuming that this was a young girl on top of it because of the hair, and actually the person filming was saying that stop, why are you beating on her or something along those lines. Now, the biggest issue with this entire matter is we don't know what happened prior to the video rolling. As always, I say it over and over again, people get so wound up, so upset over these events, over these allegations of police brutality without knowing anything that took place, period. But before I get into that a little more, let's watch some more of the video.
That the teen fell victim to excessive force over a nonviolent crime.
But once again, for those that this is the first time seeing it, what do you think? Do you think it was too much for the officer? Or do you think that the information that we have right now is sufficient in order to determine whether it was excessive or not? Comment down below.
Now, the Rancho Cordova Police Department and the Sacramento Sheriff's Office have launched a use of force investigation. They say this all started after the deputy noticed a hand-to-hand exchange between the teen and an adult. The adult left as the deputy approached, and officials say the teen refused to give up his ID and claimed that he was 18.
Okay, so you had a hand-to-hand exchange that the officer witnessed. Now, hand-to-hand exchange is basically when what appears to be some type of drug transaction or a transaction of some type of illegal substance, which goes into the issue of, when we speak of it from a legal perspective, which gets into the issue of a reasonable suspicion, the entire concept of a Terry stop, where if an officer sees something take place that arouses his suspicion, then he can be legally justified in stopping the suspects involved and conducting a potential pat search if it is necessary. Now, some of the factors that can play a role is the area that they're in. Is it a known high crime area? Is it known to be an area where drug transactions take place? How are these suspects acting individually? The court case, if you want to review it and look into a little more detail, is Terry versus Ohio. It's the one that you hear nowadays just being referred to as stop and frisk and how unlawful it is, which I think is nonsense. I think it's a very lawful and reasonable legal standing that is in place, and officers have used it on thousands of occasions to stop crime and reduce crime in different areas. New York used it successfully to bring down the crime level back in the 90s. But right now it's being vilified as being racist, as everything seems to be nowadays. And then the officer was seeking to get information from the juvenile, and he gave him false information. So you have a legal justification so far for making an arrest. False information to a police officer. You aren't able to identify the individuals you're speaking with. It's lawful to take them into custody. You have no idea. You could be dealing with a criminal for all you know, a convict. So far, everything seems good.
Now, we are told that the teen was cited and released to his parents.
Okay, now we're going to watch the video where the young man gives his side of the story. So we're going to see some of the video footage again, but we're going to hear his perspective.
Elijah says trouble began after he asked a stranger to purchase some tobacco for him. After getting it in his hands,
that's when the cop pulled up, and he asked me what was that in my hand, and I had gave him. As soon as he asked me that, I just gave it to him.
He says the officer became confrontational, despite him handing over the tobacco right away. And out of fear, Elijah wasn't truthful with the officer.
I did lie to him, and I didn't cooperate, and I know that.
Now, there's some conflicting stories. If I'm not mistaken, the officer stated that the kid resisted or wasn't uncooperative initially, whereas he said he was at first. But he did admit to lying. He did admit to resisting the police. To what level, to what extent did he resist? That is the ultimate question here. Please understand that. During this video and for any future incidents that take place, the questions to ask should be along the lines of, well, what did he do? If anything, did he punch the officer? Did he kick him? Did he try to run from the officer? Those things would play a role in how the officer was attempting to restrain him. Let's continue on.
I made that mistake.
Sacramento County Sheriff's Office responded to this incident, saying in part, it's important to put video footage into context, especially in relation to a use of force incident.
100%. Context matters. Even though there are many people who try to claim that it doesn't, it's irrelevant. It absolutely matters.
When the deputy approached the juvenile was uncooperative and refused to give the deputy basic identifying information.
Stop in them, John.
Elijah says the officer then tried to put handcuffs on him without telling him why.
So when he did that, I pulled my right hand back, and then that's when he started getting aggressive and trying to fight.
The department says the juvenile became physically resistive at the time, causing the deputy to lose control of his handcuffs. The deputy attempted to maintain control of the juvenile without his handcuffs and while alone waiting for his partners to arrive and assist him. Elijah says he was eventually cuffed and placed in the back of a patrol car.
I want to comment here quickly. The officer was attempting to restrain him. He pulled his hands away. Somehow the handcuffs went flying. So this officer had no way to restrain him other than physically until backup arrived. That's a factor. That matters. Now, would I have thrown strikes? Probably not. But if there were factors involved, other factors, would using strikes have been completely unreasonable? I don't think so. That's the ultimate standard by which these events are measured. Not by your opinion as a citizen, but by a reasonable officer.
Sir, I'm sorry for the way that I acted towards you and for not cooperating. And I just hope we could meet again and be on better terms.
Now, he understands that his actions were unreasonable and he put himself in that situation. So big props to this young man here. He's out there trying to smoke at 14 years old and all kinds of nonsense. Hopefully this will set him on a proper path to where he doesn't do any more foolish things. But in the meantime, I want to know what you guys think. What's your whole opinion on this entire event? Justified? No? Yes? Comment down below. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button before you bounce out of here, or give me a follow. In the meantime, stay safe, God bless, and make sure you join the conversation.